All right, I think it's working. Let's see if the jingle singers are ready to go here.
You may not find us on your TV because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
RADIO on the last Old Tube RADIO of 2019. So hopefully if you haven't been able to check in all year, this would be a great time to do it. Maybe that special radio you want to check in for 2019 would happen tonight. We will see. The Old Tube Radio Network, real radios glowing in the dark. Hello, my name is Dennis, your net controller for the evening on the Old Tube Radio Network, a gathering of stations here in Central California. We've been doing this for about 35 years on Saturday evenings, beginning at 8 p.m. Pacific time, where we, at the beginning of the net, say hello to our listening stations, and then after that, chat with and talk about the classic tube radios, typically found on your 11-meter Class D radio service from 1958 to about 1978. But thanks to the Old Tube Radio Network and our collectors, you can find them in 2019 right here at 27085 Channel 11 in Central California, or wherever the skip zone might be, or, of course, on the Universal Media Netweb at oldtuberadio.net. And now on the video YouTube, somewhere out there beaconing, if you're watching us live here on the 28th of December. Without further ado, I will grab the shortwave listener list, and let me change the camera for those of you who have the ability to take a look at the video. I've put on my 1960s suit here, but I do have, thanks to our group in Ohio that has pretty much renovated Studio B for the Jingle Singers and gotten them in line. And I think because the Jingle Singers are now sort of this top-notch group, that they've asked that Net Controller kind of get into the program here. So we have our official network, OTR network shirt. Here it is, courtesy of Bob in Ohio. You can actually see that, my SWL number and the Old Tube Radio thing, and I will be donning that tonight to try and end 2019 and perhaps kick off the new year. But with that said, we will. And I think I need to grow into this. I need to get a membership at the local gym so I can gain a few pounds to get in this shirt. All right, well, we'll start off with a roll call, and we are looking for, if I can find my page here, I know who we're looking for. We're looking for 00.
00, checking in.
And sounding good. Hello, Wayne. I think I've got all the paperwork set up here and ready to go. You still have the 2-for-1 coupon. This is week 6 of the 8-week roster, so we'll catch you coming up on page 4. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for the check-in.
SWL1 with the cosmic check-in. He's sat in the air chair here quite a few times. SWL number 2. I haven't, you know what? I need to look over at the video side and see who is out there waving a hand. Do I see OBP? Ed is in. DD21 is in, who was on the... I never had one of these radios. It was a Cobra 2000, which I suppose if the Tram, the Brownings, or the tube radios that everybody wants, the Cobra 2000 was the solid-state radio that everybody wants. Friar Tuck is in. Wayne is up early this morning, as he always is, tuning in from the UK, the Sheriff of Nottingham. Thanks, Brown Dog Audio, also listening in on the video side, and a host of others. We'll keep going here. We'll also look for OBP. SWL number 3, who asked to be checked in. I will check him in. I think he got some pictures in for us on the net. SWL 4, SWL 5, shortwave listener 6. SWL7.
Number 7, checking in.
Sounding good on the AM mode. I did hear you perhaps warming up a few of the classic tube radios. So let me get my headphoniums falling off here. We will be listening to you when we start glowing in the dark.
Good deal.
Then we head over to SWL 13. And if I go over to this screen, I can refresh my comments and see all of our digital listeners checking in from far and wide. So if you are not within the DX zone or the local zone, if you can check in, and I think you might need a Facebook account to do that over at oldtuberadio.net, leave us a note or jump in on the video screen. And when I'm paying attention, we'll answer your questions there as well. SWL 14.
Got a copy?
Who is that station? Over. SWL 15. SWL 16. Shortwave listener 17. SWL 18. And from Facebook page, Mr. KDA wanted to be checked in, and I will do that. SWL 19. I have a note here to Proxy and 20. I will call SWL 20 just to see that if he is out there somewhere. SWL 20. Okay, Proxy is in. Maybe SWL 20 is one of our many stations tuning in at oldtuberadio.net. Up there in the balcony, San Francisco. Hello to the New York station, South Carolina, Colorado, Southern California. There's the UK, Woodland Park, Colorado, always listening in for the E-Skip. North Fork, Centerville, Virginia, coming up to you. Hello to Seaside. That's a new one, California, out down near San Diego, I believe. Dixon, Illinois. Let's see. Fresno's listening in. Ohio. Somerville, South Carolina. Got Florida listening in. Las Vegas. I think that's Robert out there in Las Vegas. And New York, right here in the front row, along with Hermosa Beach and a host of others. So welcome to you here on the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. Looking for, I got 20 checked in. I also check in this guy, SWL 21. Wishing DD21, JT wishing all the SWLs Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year with a robust ground rod. I hear he is going to procure some more funds and maybe extend the ground rod. It's already the world's longest ground rod, but you know there's a lot of competition out there, so you might want to just add some more to it, just in case there is somebody out there to get you. And I was busy, but I missed checking in on the old radio night tonight, but I did see, in fact, where is it? The Cobra 2000. And you have one of those on-the-air lights like I do back here. This is courtesy of 84 in the gang. You can see it way in the back. And you have the WWPD X21. I'm not sure. That must be some type of sideband number or something. I don't know. You'll have to let me know what the DD21 on the WWPDX21 is on the air. Next, we have SWL 22. And that is Mark out of Texas. I do not see him on just yet. So we'll be looking out for that. Over to SWL 24.
What club is this?
And I'll hold. This is not a club. I used to say that. This is not a club, but a voluntary association of people interested in old tube radios, and we welcome anyone to participate. It's called the Old Tube Radio Network. We have been gathering here on this frequency on Saturday evenings for the last, 35 years or so. And right now we're listening or saying hello to our listening stations, such as yourself. And in about 25 minutes, we will be talking about and talking with the classic tube radios that were on this channel 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago. So that's what's happening. It's called the Old Tube Radio Network. You can listen in here, or you can follow along on your Universal Media Net web at oldtuberadio.net or on the YouTube channel. I hope I answered your question. Over.
What channel is this?
This is Channel 11 on your Citizen Band radio. Over.
Yeah, I have a Tram Titan 2 I'm talking on.
That is a perfect thing. Are you going to be around in about 20 minutes? We'd like to get your radio checked in.
Yes, I am. I'll be waiting.
Okay, I do believe a Tram Titan 2 is the AM double. No, it's the not the double sideband. I don't think on the Titan 2. But anyway, we'll talk about that. My name is Dennis. I'm Net Controller. Once we get into the tube radios in about 30 minutes or so, give us a call and we'll talk about the radio. Put it up on the big screen. Thanks for listening in to the Old Tube Radio Network. You come to the right place if you have something that glows in the dark tonight here on Channel 11. Where are we at? We're heading over the hill, past the Big Giraffe to SWL 25.
25, happy holidays.
Hey, you are sounding good. And I will get you checked in, and also 74 as well. And that takes us to page 2 for SWL 27. And if anybody's listening to the crossband, you just not know what you might hear. You won't hear me, that's for sure. SWL 29, we've got a proxy check-in for Loner over to SWL 31. Robert entry. Oh, there they are. Jumping in on the top row there, waving the flashlight. I see you. No need to do anything else. Right in there, right on time. Robert and Teresa are in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and have a very large collection of tube radios out that way, some of which are pictured somewhere on our Old Tube Radio Facebook page. So thanks for listening in. They've been one of our first set of digital listeners. Let's go to SWL 32. SWL 33, myself, Bozo Control, the Jingle Singers. You know how I know? Where is this? How do I know that I am SWL 33? Because it says right here, right there on the network, on the Net Controller shirt. I'll give a story later, maybe later, about SWL 33 or how I got that number 33. Keep going. SWL 35. Here's a guy that says, you guys in the Central Valley, now Bill, Mr. Bill, spent a lot of time here in the Central Valley of California, and he's pretty much saying that you guys cannot complain about the cold temperatures that we're having right now. Snow on the road down to L.A., Grapevine. It's clear and cold. It'll probably get down below 40 degrees tonight. But Mr. Bill is in Cheyenne, Wyoming, in, as he says, snowy Cheyenne, Wyoming. And he checked in earlier. I'm saying if he's still on the board here, I could get a temperature out there, but he's still not on. But anyway, Bill, if you're listening somewhere, we've got you checked in. We'll try not to complain about 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Next, we've got SWL 36. SWL 37. SWL 38. Okay, and I'm looking at the Worldwide Pirates of DX, WWPDX. Okay. A CB group still around as a website. Lots of good info. All right, thanks for that. the Worldwide Pirates of DX. Well, the FCC has kind of been ragging on pirate radio, the broadcast pirates, but I don't think they are paying too much attention to DX land, which is fine with me. Who else has jumped in on the video side? Is it Daryl? Saying hello. John is in there from Iowa. And a host of others. In Greenwood. Cole Cannon is out there in Greenwood. Looking for SWL 39. SWL 40.
SWL 40 here. And you might want to check in 73. He may be in Germany right now.
Germany. What is the prefix for Germany? D something? Or is he on some type of musical whatever? All right, I will get 73 in, but I also have you in as well.
And it's 44.7 degrees here in Chinatown.
Yeah, it's a bit chilly. I may have to, I've got the 1960s jacket to go with the outfit here, and I may end up throwing that on. What is it in here in the shack? I can't see the temperature gauge, but it's a bit chilly, but not too bad. We got all the tubes running. Thanks, Larry. We'll get John checked in. SWL 42.
Yeah, Proxy and 42 in the gang.
Yeah, will do. Got 42 in, one of 4. SWL 43.
Hey, 3 on the key tonight, Dennis, and hope you had a happy holiday.
It was good, despite my best efforts to wreck it, I think. Still working on it. And boy, you sound great tonight. Here into Midtown Fresno. We got you checked in. Over.
I talked to Chris 37 a little while ago on the crooked wire, and he's not anywhere close to his radio, so I'd like to proxy him in.
Okay, I will get, in fact, he's right up here on this page, so we'll get 37 in. If you're listening, Chris, on the Universal Media Net Web, hello to you, and we've got you checked in thanks to Crazy Eddie there. All right, thanks.
Have a good evening, Dennis.
And let's go to another station who put up a picture of my signal on the scope. Yeah, he's got one of those radios that has all the scopes and things. He says, you can do better. Took a picture of my signal. He says, you can do better. All right, we're trying to do better. SWL 44. All right, 44 is in. I hear you, Ray, and hopefully you're not freezing out there. Let's go to where it's probably a lot. It's maybe in the 30s somewhere up in North Fork. SWL 45.
Had a good night, Dennis. 45.
All right, sounding good as well. And yeah, I got the photo on the Buddy. It's in the archives, and it's looking good.
Well, thank you. I had a change of plans on it, so next week the Buddy Base will be on. All right.
Okay, most excellent. We'll be able to show that nice-looking radio when it makes the airwaves. I'll look for you a little bit later on the net. Over to SWL 46. Shortwave listener 47. SWL 48. Shortwave listener 49.
Hello, Dennis. I just got this sucker all hooked back up, so hopefully it's sounding okay in your neighborhood. Wishing you guys, well, I already wished you a happy Christmas. Hope you had a great Christmas, and wishing you a happy New Year coming up to all the SWLs. Also, waving a quick hand to 44 Ray up there. Haven't been able to talk to him for a while, so quick hello to you. And we do appreciate the check-in, Dennis.
All right. I appreciate doing it. And I was looking over the radio to see the S meter, but it's right in front of me on the monitor here. Looking good on the signal-wise. And heard you guys chatting. I don't know if you're on the Timtron radio. We have a couple of stations listening out at New York. I think HLR is out of Maine. I don't know if we have any stations listening from Maine, but maybe when Tim is at the shortwave radio station, he can log into oldtuberadio.net on a cold and chilly Saturday evening and hear one of his official FT series radios. Sounding good. Thanks for checking in.
Much, and yeah, that's exactly what it is. Hoping he was going to be out there tonight, but you just never know. And yeah, I believe he is out of Maine, so will be cool to say a quick hello to him if he's on. So thanks again, Dennis.
All right, we'll have to. I forget a soundbite. I can't remember what he does on his shortwave broadcast. His show that he does. I think he plays kind of classic, old-timey, rocky music that you wouldn't hear elsewhere. We'll have to give him to interview the Old Tube Radio Network. We are on the direct-to-net roll call. Speaking of old radios and stuff like that, that will be coming up shortly, so stay tuned for that. If you've got something that you'd like to check in, get it warmed up, and we will check it in. If you're listening in somewhere and you've been on Old Tube Radio this week, if we can't hear you, but go ahead and jot it down, list it in the comments, what tube radio you were on firing up this week. I hear there was, I don't know how much here on the West Coast, but a lot of the guys on the Facebook were saying that the skip was running pretty good in the East and Midwest, so maybe you were firing up your D201s or your Brownings to catch some of that activity. Let's head over to SWL 50. SWL 51.
SWL 51 checking in.
SWL 51. There's another great audio. Maybe we'll have to start an evening net for all those who like to do the audio thing. We've got enough people out there now. That would be an SWL treat. You wouldn't know if you were listening to KNX out of Los Angeles or KMJ or big 50,000 watt stations. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Dennis. Have a good evening.
SWL 52. SWL 53.
Hello, Dennis. 53 checking in. Wish everybody a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I keep forgetting. This is our final broadcast of 2019, so this is the New Year issue. Thank you, Bob, for checking in.
Thank you.
And another check-in for SWL 54. Guy responsible for keeping a lot of the radios that you hear on tonight in tip-top shape, and as SWL 62 would say, on frequency. Let's try up where it definitely is cold, SWL 55.
55 checking in, Dennis. And it is pretty cold.
Yeah, hopefully there's not too much wind. I always like it when they check the weather and said the temperature is 22, but the feels like temperature is 12. So make sure you got your Christmas mittens on if you go outside. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you, Dennis.
And over to the land where things are getting normal. I want to say that Christmas Tree Lane is over. Usually they don't go too much past the 26th, the 27th, but we'll see. SWL 56.
Good evening, Dennis and the net. Yeah, things are pretty much settled back down now until next year.
until they do it again. They've been doing it. What did Mike say when he checked in from Christmas Tree Lane last week? For over 90 years. But you're all used to it. You are sounding good. Thanks for checking in. And let's see. Let's go over to the video side. Hello to 57, who is out there chatting with all the group. WWS 1942. And that's another worldwide, but something. There's another worldwide somebody. In Central Kentucky, Brown Dog Audio. Looking good on the stream tonight. 1.8 kilowatts on the Drake L4B. Who also has an L4B is Brian. A good, everybody, if you look on the reviews on the L4B, There's nobody dissing that little amplifier. So if you find one, get one. If you've got one, you're probably hanging on to it. Thank you there, Brown Dog, looking good from Kentucky. Let's go over to SWL 58.
Break.
And the breaking station, go ahead.
Well, I heard you call my name. So how about a late check-in, I'm sorry, from the radio lounge where it's really convenient just to turn these things on and not have to, like, put them in a seat and do all sorts of crazy things driving around town. Greetings, anyways, from the radio lounge, 47.
Yeah, it is a bit of a chore. We definitely appreciate your efforts last week from Christmas Tree Lane. I hope you got a chance to listen to how good everything sounded. You did a good job on that. There was no problems whatsoever, and we have you checked in now. Over.
Thanks, sir. I appreciate it.
And I'm seeing where I left off. Let me call 58 again. Also, let me also check in X4000, who is beaconing in from the north or central part of the state of California here. Also, thank you, Bill, letting us know that it's 21 degrees. 21 degrees and dropping in Cheyenne, snowy Cheyenne. Also, the Bob and Steve show in. Let me dump the S meter. No, it would be that camera. There we go. Let me dump the S meter. It is working. The jingle singers can no longer complain that the guy in the other studio, now that you know, you guys have got everything top shape over on that side. Over on this side, things were looking a bit dreary. So Robert's got me all official here. With the 35th annual shirt. That's good, because the other one I have from 35 years ago is just starting to fade out. They are over with the jingle singers tonight, and wishing all the old tube radio operators a happy and wonderful new year. Yeah, I've got the tie, and I'll probably put on the jacket, because it's getting cold in here. Maybe when we start checking in the tube radios, but thanks. It works well, and it helps with, I've got the effect light. I'm going to have to put some colored lights down on the, see, here's what happens. If you're watching the videos, I've got the effect lighting. What happens when I turn off the effect lighting? See, look at that. It's like nothing. Okay, let me turn the effects light in there. There you go. That controller's got to have something. We are looking for SWL 59. SWL 60.
Thank you much, Dennis. Doggone it. We'll say evening time to the fellas, and let's take this one out with a bang. SWL 60 checking in, Big Jake's base, the 2527.
Sounding good as always. X in the square for 60 and the group over there. Thanks for all the check-ins. Over to SWL 61.
51 checking in, Dennis.
61. This is like the clockwork. 60, 61, 62, always right in there and right on time. Thanks, Dean. SWL 62. Maybe out with the family. Probably checking in a little bit later. SWL 63, out in New York. Bubba and the group. Who's still in New York? Because they were listening in early. I think they were listening to me doing all my boring testing on the Old Tube Radio Network test channel. Staying up early or late with us tonight, thanks to the stations out that way. Maybe they're giving Timtron a call. SWL 64. SWL 65.
SWL 65 checking in.
You're sounding good on the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. Eric, we've got you checked in over.
Thank you. Have a good evening, and Happy New Year.
SWL 66. SWL 67. Bill proxied in. SWL 68. SWL 69.
Dennis, let's get Ken checked in. I talked to him just the other day, and doggone it, he wishes everyone a prosperous New Year coming up and Merry Christmas.
Okay, very good. Get him checked in. Hopefully he can get a chance to listen in or tune in to all the gang here in Central California that wishes him well. Got Kenny checked in. Then we head over to SWL 70. And I'm listening in. Is my audio failing? Where is the Orban loudest? Yes, it is. Okay, why is my audio not working here? Let's do the old fit the knobs, twist the dials. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm looking. All right, sorry if I was fading down there. That's what happens. You get too many controls that you have to touch. Bad things can happen. So we were on 70. And a station that never has problems with his audio because he knows how to run. He knows, unlike me, he knows how to run his station. Where is Stan? Right there. He makes it so easy. I have to look, and he times things. I don't know how he does it. He must have a real good internet connection where it's just right at the top of my screen. Oh, you are the guy. All right. He's the I wonder who the Florida station was tonight. Not only that, tricky. He's doing it vicariously. Wonder if you're getting to listen in to some DX there. He'll be back at the station. All right, Stan, thanks. Got you checked in. And that's probably a good place to be in December 28th. Hopefully the weather is good out there. Next, we've got SWL 72. Got a check-in for SWL 73. Rumors he is in Germany. All right. And a check-in for Miss Jilly, SWL 74. Probably checking all the tubes in the 50,000 watt transmitter. Let's try SWL 75. SWL 77.
Well, good evening, Dennis, and all the listeners on the net. 77 on the old Tower of Power in the Tower District. Beaconing in a Happy New Year for everybody that's out there paying attention. 77 checking in.
Paying attention. That's what I try to do. That's sort of my job here, although I don't do it quite well. Sounding good as always. 77, Dennis. You just can't have too many Dennises on channel at the same time. Thanks for checking in.
Check.
From Everett, Washington, and he may not be in just yet. Did see a Washington station on earlier. Hello to a new station, Sacramento, and this way of California. Los Angeles, that way of California. I don't know. They shut down the Grapevine again? It's been hard to get down to L.A. Taking a long time. And Wisconsin's in. And that Florida guy checking in again. So we'll wait on 78. SWL 79. SWL 80. Then we'll turn the page here. Last page, and then Tube Radio's check-ins will be coming up. Wanted to say hello to, is it Road Dog 507? And thanks. Someone just told me what the SS. It's very small print on a very small screen in front of me. Worldwide Sideband. Thank you. WWS 507. Worldwide Sideband. I had a number. Nobody's going to remember this, and this is from 1970. That's the first and last numbers I got, and it was WA, and I want to say it was a sideband thing as well. It was Western America. Does anybody remember that? This would have been 1970, 71, and I want to say it was sideband. It was Western America. I have no idea what it was. It's probably written down in the book that I've been looking for with my logbook, but that was my number, Western America something. And that's an old group. I don't think anybody would remember that. We're turning the page. SWL 81.
Well, a little bit of luck. Single CS. Sometimes it doesn't want to see us. 81 here, checking in. Good evening time there. Christmas out there. Hope I'm good.
Yeah, I just waited because I know you were keyed up and it kind of started and stopped and then it had a good transmission. I hear you there. You are checked in on the SWL side. If it's something that's glowing in the dark, by all means, leave it warmed up and we will be listening for it here between now and 10 o'clock. But it is working, so don't give up yet. Over.
All right, over and out.
Then we go to SWL 82. SWL 84. I got a note to check in 84, which I will. SWL 85. And we were hearing Reedley Town. Bob was actually putting in a fairly decent signal, but he's having trouble hearing us. That's John out there in Reedley. Also get 86, 87, and 88. The Mountain Maid, Tandy Girl, and the Snowy Owl checked in, looking for SWL 89. SWL 90. Got to check in for 90. Over to SWL 92. I hear him on the 10 meter. I wonder if he doesn't have some 11 meter radios hooked up or not. SWL 93. That's what I need. I need the LB4 Drake. So they can hear me in Madera. Let's see, 93. No, 93. How about SWL 98? SWL 103. Get Jeff checked in from Facebook. He was out there. Shortwave listener 109. SWL 110. I feel so official. I feel like I have to actually behave now that I'm dressed the part of... Dennis will play the part of the net controller tonight. SWL, I'm going to give it a try. SWL 111, are you still listening, Robert? Well, if you are, I have you checked in if you're listening on the net. You were putting in a good shot into here, and you made it over to SWL 7, who normally has a noise level. He can't even hear me down the street. He was hearing you out in Reedley, so it was working. Over to SWL 113. SWL 1, the guy that checked in is 00, SWL 114.
114 checking in.
And still doing it. I think Wayne said he was running a Cobra 2000. That was the featured radio on Old Radio Night tonight. Does that, Wayne, does that radio have a matching speaker that goes with it?
No, I do not have the matching speaker for it.
Okay, probably don't need it. You're hearing me, so it's working. Yeah, okay, I didn't know. I remember I see occasionally there's a speaker that goes with the thing, but I guess that's just to make it, they wanted to make it bigger across the table, but it doesn't need it.
I just have a remote speaker mounted on the wall.
Oh, good. I like that. That probably makes me sound good. So anything that makes me sound good, I like. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you. Also, can you check in the two ditch banks of Iowa, 58 and 82?
Yeah, let me do that while I'm on this page. I'll get 82, and then also get Jeremy as well, who are probably out making sure that the ditch banks, if they get iced, then they take out the skis And they do a little bit of, downhill sloping there. All right, I got them both. Thanks.
Thank you for the proxy.
Then over to Fairfax, Virginia, John Lee, SWL 128, who is out there waving a hand, listening, checking in, wishing all the old tube radio operators and SWL a Happy New Year. Thank you, 128. Got you checked in. Let's go to, I think it's somewhere in Clovis for SWL 131. Then over to SWL 133. And 133 is checking in. Dave, the Delta Echo Foxtrot. Almost good on the keyboard. It's like mine is right, the GFD is right in there when you're doing your call on the keyboard. You've got the DEF. It's right there in that same area. Let's see, where are we going? SWL 135.
We can proxy him, man, too.
I will do that. But I was hoping he'd be out. He always enjoys these holiday, last of the year, Christmas special net things. So maybe he'll fire it up. But I get him checked in. Thanks. SWL 137, we have a proxy check-in for AJ. Over to Tony, SWL 145. Then SWL 147, I am seeing, and Neil's good at this too, about timing, even though we're way far away, figuring out when to hit that button. So all I have to do is look over, and there he is. 147 in the house from Kakalaki. Good 4 hours of conditions yesterday from the northeast. I don't know what's been happening here, but I've been seeing and hearing everybody talking about how good the conditions and things have opened up. So I wonder if we can get some E-skip tonight. I don't know. But quiet today. I noticed that. I did come in here earlier, and things were not happening at all. I guess they've spotted some of those reverse polarity cycle 25 spots coming up. So things should jump up pretty good. No one's fessing up to whether they think 25 is going to be better than the 24 or worse. I don't see how it could be worse. It could be the same. So hopefully it will be better. Neil is checking in from the Carolina Sandhills. Thank you. Thank you, Neil. Happy New Year to you. Put the X on the square where it goes there. Let's head up to another chilly location, Coarse Gold, which is up in the foothills above Fresno here, SWL 195.
195, checking in, Dennis.
And Happy New Year up there to the Coarse Gold Starliner and the Radio Shack and all the gang up there. Good to have you on board. And then Jeff, SWL 226. And any check-ins or people that I missed, over. And Mitch, Mitch, who is becoming one of our old tube radio historians, and if I remember and I can find the link, I don't even remember what it was, but had something really interesting yet again on Facebook. Also is helping me out that when referencing more than one Dennis, because I didn't know if it was the Denai. However, it says that the proper term should be the menace of Dennises. And there are a few out there. I know on the Wednesday night sideband check-in, there's another Dennis that checks in. And I used to be in a bowling team. We would get into the Central California state tournament year after year, and there wasn't one, but two, but three of us. We never find it. They're not making Dennises anymore, but there were three of us on the team, so we had shirts that said Dennis 1, Dennis 2, and Dennis 3. But we should have added the menace of Dennis. Thank you, Mitch. And if we get time and I remember what it was that you posted, we might put that up. All right, let me stop talking. The time is late. We are past overdue for our old tube radios, which will be coming up shortly. I need to flip a couple of switches, go behind the curtain, and do all those things. And I'll be back in a minute or two with your old tube radio network and those real radios that glow in the dark.
Hey, Dennis, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Who is that? Over.
Juan?
Is that John?
It is.
Okay, I hear you perfectly. You have made the connection, or else I'm listening better, or maybe both.
Just made the connection there.
All right, got you checked in, and I'll be right back. You are listening to the Old Tube Radio Network.
OTR. 27.05 megahertz. The Old Tube Radio Network.
All right, well, that sounded interesting, but I think you get the idea. The Old Tube Radio Network, real radios glowing in the dark, here from Central California and all over the place, thanks to the Universal Media NetWeb and your participation, where we will be talking about listening for the classic tube radios from 1958 and 78 when they glowed in the dark, and they still do here at OTR. OTR is standing by.
81.
Number 7.
And we have two. I have to get my writing. Oh, here it is. It's underneath. It's underneath all the junk. 7. Head over to the green room where they're having a good time. We'll pick you up as Radio 2. And then we'll head over to Mr. Unicorn 81, and we'll see if that's going to take a few transmissions more than it did before. It's sounding good in the neighborhood tonight. I'm trying to get all my paperwork together here, Steve, so bear with me. All right, I am ready to go. Hello, Steve. Over.
Okay. I got a hold of it. Maybe I should have asked Santa for a remind for it. There we go. Okay, I got it now. 81, check it. on a Courier 23 by ECI. So, yeah, you take your time because this thing is real temperamental. If I stretch that mic cord a little too far, well, I lose it. But anyway, a chrome-plated Courier 23 by ECI. And it's a good-looking radio.
It is a good-looking radio, and you seem to know when it is transmitting and when it is not transmitting, because you kind of, you fill in the blanks. I'm not losing in the audio. There's the radio. Let's go to the full screen. Courier 23 photos, courtesy of Cliff SW135. Looks like it's got the black and the chrome on the front, and then the chrome all along the side. A very perfect CB-looking radio. If someone's thinking old-time CB radio, this would be a good one to put up, because it has everything you need. It's got, looks like 23 channels, maybe S-meter, a little red light that maybe or may not blink at you. I guess that's how you tell it's working. Hopefully you're hearing me as well. Over.
Over. Yeah, it's got a good receive, and you're right, I can see that little red light blinking, a little modulation light. And it's the original Courier non-amplified hand mic, except this Courier 23. Yeah, it's kind of everything. It's got a band spread, it's got a PA, CD, 12, and it looks like a range boost, which is on at the moment. I'm afraid to touch it. It may not be up if I really get quick, but the range boost is on.
Range boost is on. Okay, I think it needs it. Audio is a little bit low, but I hear you okay. So might need even an amplified mic, but the range boost usually helps out. So don't touch a thing. That was a perfect transmission on the Courier 23, a radio that originally sold for $189.50. I think that was their middle of the line radio behind the Courier Royale. Also, what was it? Who made that? Was it Fan and Courier? So that base, that chassis, I think showed up in some other non-Courier monikered radios, and it is definitely no slouch. So thanks for putting in the extra effort to get that thing up and running tonight on our last net of 2019. Steve is one of the people who 35 years ago was hanging out on this channel, listening into the old Tube Radio Network, such that it was. I don't know if it wasn't the network at the time, but Steve has been around with us for the whole banana. So it's good to have him on this particular night. Over.
All right. Well, I do appreciate the check-in, and hope you had a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and I'm going to be out and listening on this Courier 23. Thanks for the check-in.
Looks good. I've got you S8 on the meter, so it is above the noise level. I've got the IPO and the RF gain set so that our digital listeners don't go crazy listening to the static here, but you are making it over that baseline no problem. So thanks for tuning in tonight. Radio number one, the Courier 23, and Steve Areno at the microphonium. Thank you. Next, we will head over, or stepping up into the air chair here, just before the top of the hour, Mr. Ed on some radio. Sometimes I can tell which radio he's on. Sometimes it's real easy, especially when he's on the Eagle. But I wasn't paying much attention. So take a transmission, and I'll see if I can get it.
I think you can guess what this one is. In fact, it's a radio that Mr. Harvey thankfully saved and brought back to life, and now is on the air again in my location, and I'm really happy. It's a nice-looking radio.
And a nice sounding radio as well. Now it is up to me to remember which of the Browning series, because he has two of them, that you've got. And I think if Harvey had something to do with it, I'm going to go out on a limb here and go ahead and add the advertisement for the R68 T-68, the first of the Golden Eagle series. They had a Series 1 and a Series 2. But there it is. So take a transmission.
That would be correct. That is the radio, except for the external speaker. That the banana mic is exactly what I'm talking on, and it pretty much looks like that radio right there you have in the advertisement. It's a beautiful radio, and Harvey definitely did a job on this thing. It's got some swing that a 4-watt radio shouldn't have.
Yeah, and it's got some audio as well, too. I've got the Orban loudness meter set. So most typical, audio comes in between minus 18, minus 16, and you're up at the minus 14. That's not to say it's overmodulated. That's just to say it's loud and sounding good. That doesn't have, that does not have the EV microphone on it, right?
No, this is the good old Browning Laboratories banana mic, although it's also made by Electro Voice.
Yeah, they know microphones, so Browning probably had them picked one of the ones they had, the style they had, and tailored it for that particular radio. There's the close-up, the transmitter receiver, and like we were showing the extra. What are the extra pieces? There was actually 2 extra pieces. You could put the whole thing in a cabinet, which I think you could do with the Mark II as well. I think, was it Phil that said you have to take off the other cabinets, the metal cabinets, and fit those into the wood cabinets, and then the optional bass speaker for $23.50. I don't even think I've seen one of those unobtainiums on eBay for some ridiculous price. 1967 and 68. So this had a fairly short run. Browning was running fast and furious, in the mid-60s, along with everybody else, and the updates between the Eagle and the Golden Eagle and the Mark II series, and adding to that. So this had a good, year and a half run. $395, $400, I think, was the top of the line radio price back then for the big trams, and probably the satellites and things like that. And this radio was no exception. Sounding good here in the final net of 2019 for radio number 2. Jingle Singers are at the ready at the top of the hour, so let's go back to you for another transmission, and thanks for bringing it by. Over.
Oh, and thank you. And with that, I'll take a listen for a little bit and have another radio.
All right, sounds good. Oops, I've got to keep transmitting here. I am going to go to the Jingle Singers, top of the hour. Next radio, whoever it might be, will be radio number 3. And where did they go? They're having too much fun over there. See, now that I'm officially dressed up, and they should be paying more attention to net control tonight. You are listening to the Old Tube Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you, wherever you are. For music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station for you is
OTR.
Wow.
Old Tube Radio.
The station for you is
OTR.
All right, and for some reason, they're not coming through. I looked at the meter on the... Oh, I know why. We're going to do that again. I apologize to the Jingle Singers, because that was a technical error on my part. So here we go again. As they say in the biz, take 2 on the Jingle Singers, whatever you guys want to do, whatever you guys and gals want to sing. Here we go.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you.
Sounds better.
Wherever you are, your favorite slot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
All right, the station for you and you, the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. Thanks to our tube radio operators tonight helping us out. Thanks to all those who are listening. And Rich is in from CB Radio News, a very interesting site with lots of information about your favorite 11-meter radio band. And then Brown Dog says, the worldwide sidebanders could be tuning in, listening to the Old Tube Radio Network. And just a note, and I don't see Kevin out there, but he would verify this. We used to, on Friday nights, and it's probably been at least 10 years since we've done it now, had a sideband net, because these radios like the Tram Titan 2 and the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III and whatever, I mean, they did have sideband, even the general radio telephone. So we thought, you know what, we're missing out. And so on this Channel 11 on Fridays, we used to jump in on sideband and talk sideband with the tube radios. We haven't done that in a while. I think it was a difficult time to get everybody together, but we did that. So I want the sidebanders, sideband clubs to know that we do occasionally, or we did promote these radios on the sideband mode of operation as well. What am I saying? Radio number 3, we're looking for you.
45.
All right, I've got 45. You will be next as Radio 3. Who else was out there? Over.
81 on radio number 3.
And to 81. All right. Steve, hang on. We'll get to you. Head over to the green room. They are having fun. It is their year-end celebration, so they know how to do it upright. There's all sorts of Happy New Year things going on. We'll be right back to you. Radio number 3 will be Paul, shortwave listener number 45. And as I always say, you don't have to have any particular number. This is not a club, as we explained earlier. So if you find yourself on this channel with a tube radio, please feel free to break in and let us put it on the list. Can you hear me, Paul? Over.
Hear you just fine, Dennis. Everybody want to check in my Browning Golden Eagle Mark II Series B.
All right, we're moving semi-chronologically here in the Browning Laboratory Department. So let's move up from 1967 to 68. And let me see if I have a shot of the Mark II Series B. I'll probably have to go search for it. So go ahead and take a transmission. And I don't know why we don't have one. That may be another photo you'll have to send over to Rob so we can use it. But take a transmission over.
Yeah, I want to get the whole rig on this Series B. I got Mark II. I got everything for it. And I'd like to send it to Rob. I think he'd take it, put it in there. It'd be real nice. Anyway, this has got a receiver and a transmitter, 2-piece. The transmitter is small. It's like about, I don't know what to describe it as, but it's about half size of the other ones like the Mark III and all that. But very nice rig. Talks good. The transmitter has 5 tubes. The receiver has 12. So there's a lot of tubes in this baby. The separate SSB, which sideband, which I have for this radio, it comes with a trans adapter that ties the SSB to the main receiver. And with all 4 pieces, this radio is 40 inches long. It's over 3 feet. Quite a radio. I like it real well. Back to you. That's almost like it.
Yeah, I think that's only the transmitter part of it. You know what I need to do is talk to Toby, with Toby over at Midwest Sound, who has, I don't know, I'm just going to say a ton, a ton of Brownings, and I bet he has. Let's get the SSB 15, so that's different. But Toby's got probably one of those, and a good picture of it somewhere on one of his sites. And that's what I should be using. Nice mellow audio on that. I like the audio. It still sounds like a Browning, but it's not super in your face. You've got it set up quite nice. And I'm not sure if you've ever tried sideband on that. Do you remember when we were doing the sideband nets on Friday nights? Over?
Yeah, the sideband used to have it on. If that's what you're talking about. Yeah, this maybe has sideband. It's got a transit adapter. You hook it up to it. So like I tell you before, I'll go back into it later. Back to you.
Okay. I wish I had a better photo for our viewers here, but those familiar or who may be sitting in front of their Mark II Series B know what we're talking about. And hello to John up there in Spokane. So the people are listening in. Spokane is a good area. If we get the DX conditions for the band to open up, we'd actually be able to hear us on 27085. Talking to Paul right now. He's in front of the area in his giant collection that contains the Browning Golden Eagle and specifically the Mark II Series B, which is firing up tonight. I think it might be a Browning kind of evening tonight, but you never know. Take another transmission over.
Yeah, I've got I got the Series B. It's right on the cover there. I forget where it's at, but I found it in the thing. You got it in the web page somewhere there, because I got a picture of it here. So that one, the radio you had on just before this looks almost like it. Of course, that was a younger version of this guy. And this guy had a light on the front and on-the-air light and all the fancy things. It's getting close to the Mark III, so this radio's right next to it. I like it real well. It's a clean little radio. Back to you.
Sounds good. You've got everything fired up the way it should be and not overdoing. All right, here we go. Okay, I'm going to swap the picture. There's the Series B right there. That should be a little bit closer. That might even be your radio, over.
What are you looking at these pictures at?
My radio, but that is one exactly like it. Yeah, get going. Hey, you look on the left-hand bottom there, you'll see that on-the-air light. That's something they added. This is like the Series B because of that light put on there, on-the-air light. They were famous for that after that. Back to you.
All right, let me answer a question. That's a good question. Someone mentioned, where in the heck are we looking at these pictures? This is radio, is it or not? Is it not? Where do the pictures come from? Well, you are hearing, of course, the radio on channel 11. That's the audio. And then if you have internet connectivity, if you are a fan of the Universal Media Netweb, you can go to oldtuberadio.net, all one word, oldtuberadio.net, and dial that in, and you will also hear the audio, and you will have a link to the picture we're talking about, and also a link up to the video stream where many stations are also listening in to us here. So, and there's Captain Keyboard. Hello from, I think, Las Vegas, tuning in. So that's what's going on. We're doing the audio like we've been doing for 35 years, and also displaying the pictures for those who would like to see, when they're listening to these radios, like to kind of see what they look like as well. So take another transmission, Paul. I know that Steve is standing by. We'll get him for Radio 4, but appreciate the Mark II Series B, over.
Yeah, I see Jerry in there. That's good. Jerry, I get out of the way. You can have it run away. Now, Brad, I tell you, the microphone well, this thing is my favorite, of course, my Turner Plus 3. It's my hard to get away from. I've got the original mic for the thing. It just sounds as good as this one. It's a lot lower, and it brings it in a lot clearer, I think, anyway. Thanks again for checking it in, Dennis.
Hey, thanks for bringing it by. We always enjoy the classic sound of tube radios because we are the old Tube Radio Network. Hello to Ramon, who is watching us on the old Tube Radio Network YouTube page out in Wilmington, Delaware, and saying Happy New Year to all the SWLs and old Tube Radio operators. Also, let me check in before we head over to Steve. Steve, go ahead and step up into the air chair, and I will get SWL 78 checked in, and that is Richard, who is in Washington State. Where did I put my SWL list? Like the infamous Great Records, the 78s. Yeah, up there in Everett, Washington. So thanks for checking in, Richard. And can you hear me, Steve Areno, over?
Loud and clear.
Hello, there we go. There was a question out there, so I'm going to take a standby so you can catch that question, and then I'll try this thing again.
All right, we will see if there is a question. Not that I can answer it, but we will do our best. This is the Old Tube Radio Network listening for any questioning items of interest. Over.
Dennis, that was me. I had a question on Paul's Mark II, and if it had the trans adapter or not. And I came in about halfway through his check-in, so he may have already answered that. But I think that was the Mark II was you could actually go sideband on it if he had the trans adapter, which made it a 3-piece radio. So am I kind of being redundant, or did I miss it?
I think you said he had all the pieces to it. Are you still connected to the Mark II radio, Paul? Over. He may be switching radios, but he did make a comment that once he got all the pieces together, the radio would be well over 3 feet long. So I think he indeed has the full complement. Over.
Perfect double. Yeah, Paul was in there, Dennis.
Okay, go ahead, Paul. Over.
Sorry, Dennis, I guess we doubled big time. I wonder who got the rest of it. Anyway, back to you, Jerry. There's nothing important about that. You said something about the trans adapter, all the thing. Repeat that, please.
Yeah, I was just curious, Paul, if you had the trans adapter for the Mark II to make it go to the sideband capability. So I think that turns it into like a 3-piece radio. So that was all, man. No big deal.
That's correct. The trans adapter hooks the two together so you get sideband is what all it is. It looks like the rest of the equipment on there, which makes it real neat. It makes a 4-piece setup big. That's all I can say, man, to you.
All right, well, I think you answered my question. Anyway, thank you, Dennis, and thank you, Stephen. Back to you guys. I apologize.
All right. Back to the guy in the studio with the old jacket and the fancy Old Tube Radio Net Control shirt. And who was it? Was it Warren? Watching on the video says he's never had a tube radio. But that doesn't mean you can't key up on the Old Tube Radio Network and say hello. But what it does mean, I have a special list. Let me show you here. This is and we have a ton of these written up for the last 30 years. This is the Old Tube Radio list in my little handwritten scrawl. And in theory, to get on the list, you do have to have an Old Tube Radio. But to take a transmission or to say hello or whatever, it doesn't matter. We like to hear from everybody. So fire up whatever radio you've got, even if it's one of those tuna tin things. Remember those in the QST? They make a radio out of an Altoids box or a tuna can or something like that. Even you've got one of those. And if you go slow enough on CW, I may be able to copy you when you say hello radio. Let's try. Thanks for standing by, Steve. Let's see if you are still listening to us and can make the radio fire up over to 81. Over.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. This is 81, going for 2 for 2. With radio number 4, and I thought it was appropriate since it's Christmas time. This was a gift from SWL number 1. This is a general radio telephone. What is it? Dual range MC4. As Dr. J would put it, general radio telephone MC4.
That's exactly how he would put it. I may have some old cassette tapes of Jim doing the network. Let's see. Let me go over to. Here's the general idea. Oh, for Christmas. How about that? Let's do this. You were talking about Christmas. Here's the general idea for Christmas. Give the best in Citizen Band. And they're showing the MC4 and some other items. So we'll talk about that. And by the way, this radio is coming in perfectly, sounding good. The audio is nice. And I also have a gifted SWL one radio. I believe it is a VS2, which I have done the net on, but that was long before we were doing audio streaming and things like that. So it's not practical because I need to have an audio output, but I have used that one checking in myself. Radio number 4, the MC4. I'm going to hopefully get a close-up, from advertisement from November of 1961. I keep forgetting how long General Radio Telephone has been doing their thing, because the MC5 was 1962. Model CB4 or MC4 commercial citizen band transceiver, 15-watt construction, 6-channel transmitter plus external transmit socket for multi-channel operation, 22-channel variable plus 4 fixed crystal, and it will run 6 volt, 12 volts, 115 volts, and it runs for $199.95. And what I will do when you take a transmission, we'll put up the real deal here. Over.
Okay, well, it's a little lazy on the key up, but I'm glad the audio is up enough. Yeah, it's another good-looking radio, a gold face, and you said OTR's been going about 35 years. I think Jim gave me this radio probably, I'm guessing about 20 years ago, maybe more, but about 20 years ago, he gave me this radio. I've never done a thing to it. I think I put a couple of tubes in it, but that was it. And it's still working. It's nice to get it out there on the net once in a while and watch it light up and do its thing.
It is always nice to get a tube radio up on the net. I think this one we're showing is from Paul's collection. This also has the tone signal, so don't go away. The Q-Bird, normally we hear them on the MC5, so we'll have to see how they sound on the MC4, if indeed it does sound. I had a couple of questions before you go. We can see the tuning on the left side, the variable tuning, which was okay. You had to be crystal controlled on the transmit. There's also a local distance switch. And is there a spot? Is there a way to spot that? How do you know when you dial your transmitter to channel 11 and there's a receive? All right, I've got too many questions. Let me narrow this down. One, it looks like there's the ability to have crystal controlled on both transmit and receive. Would that be true?
That is correct. And it does have the external crystal socket that you spoke about. And it does have the spot switch.
All right, I'm going to go to a more close-up picture. So there's the two dials. Now, you also have the general coverage receiver portion of that. How do you switch over to that?
On the receive channel selector, there's a spot for variable receive, and then you just set that one there, and then you can go ahead and vary the receive variable selector to whatever channel you want. And I'm going to try this spot switch, this tone signal. That tells you when you get your receiver on frequency with your transmitter. So I'm going to go ahead and try that. Yep, there it is. It's working. And I'm on channel.
Wow. Okay, I see it. In fact, we're showing the V, which that one is on. It's got the 4 channels. The X for your transmit, which sets you down to the crystal crystal socket that's down in the center. And what Steve just did, there's a tone signal switch under the S meter, and I think you press and hold that down. Your Q-Bird sounds like it's factory fresh. I think that's how it's supposed to sound with that speed of the oscillation. So I want to hear that again. Come back with that Tweety Bird, with the Q-Bird again.
Okay. I did it with the microphone keyed up, and so there it is again. That's with the microphone keyed up. I'm going to unkey the microphone and try it again.
It works, and I believe when that is in, even if you don't have the microphone keyed, the mic circuit may be open. But that definitely has a different sound than the one that Jerry usually brings up. And there's a way to adjust that. I know Mitch and I think it was Dave. We're talking about that on one of the posts about ways to adjust that with the neon bulbs, whatever they're doing internally. But that's good. We haven't had a 4 sound that, so keep that. That's a classic sound. If I was making a recording, I might use that one as the sound of the Q-Bird. So the bird is the word. Radio 4, the general radio telephone MC4, and you added another name in there. What was that?
Just above the variable receive selector, it says dual range. Yeah, dual range MC4. General Radio Telephone Company, dual range MC4.
All right, whatever that was because of the distance local switch or something that was on that. But the dual range is good. MC4 from 1961. That also was just under about $200 for the price. 22 4-channel transmit, fixed crystal transmit and receive, and then it had the variable receiver for all 23 channels. And I hope my audio holds up tonight. Strange things are happening on my end. 6-volt, 12-volt, and 115-volt AC. Not bad from 1961 here in 2019. And it looks like if you go to if you need a schematic for that, you can go to oldtuberadio.com and click on the general radio telephone MC4, and it will show you that there's some link to a schematic. So radio number 4, general radio telephone sounds good. This one is 100%, firing up 100%. So I know if you're listening, if you end up listening in on the archives, you will be pleased with what you hear. Over.
Okay, that's a good deal. I'll go check it out and listen to the archives. And thanks for the tip on the schematic. I did get that schematic, and I have it tucked away over here somewhere. Haven't needed it, but I do have it. I have another one of these generals. It's MC5. And I think it's got a bad power transformer, so probably not likely that I'm going to get that one on the air anytime soon. But thanks for the check-in on this MC4, and I'm going to go listen to the archives and see what I sound like.
Okay, I think they're sort of building as we go, but once I get done here, I properly... Oh, hey, now we got loud again. I properly put the dates on there and everything, and it works nice. So, hey, like you, I'm having problems with my audio as well, but I'm not having to do anything with the clip leads just yet. The Old Tube Radio Network, real radios glowing in the dark. We're looking for Radio 5, the Jingle Singers, who are very pleased that I have accepted the challenge from Bob and Steve, and Bob has provided me with some great attire here to keep the Jingle Singers from embarrassment. As we now look spiffed up, and we'll be right back.
You're listening in the latest style.
27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio.
In wonderful
Fresno, California.
Looking for Radio 5.
25.
45. Number 7.
All right, doing a little tally work. Let's see. 25. Go ahead and step up in the air chair. You will be radio number 5. And Paul, you will be radio number 6 after Jerry. And then Mr. Ed will be radio 7 here on your year-end final episode, if you will, of 2019 on the Old Tube Radio Network. Hello to all who are listening at 27085. That's Channel 11 in Central California, which is where our, I say broadcast. I don't want to make it sound like we're some radio show or something, which is where we do this every week on Saturdays starting at 8 p.m. Hello to those who are joining us, waiting for the skip conditions to come in over at old@tuberadio.net. Still many of you out there listening and saying hello, and also to those who may be watching, who are watching live on December 28th, 2019 at the YouTube video. And hello to all those who may be listening or watching at a later date, saying, "Oh, I gotta write down somewhere to check out next Saturday and see if I can hear all those crazy old tube Radio C beers." Radio 5, hello, Jerry, SWL25, and of course you don't need any numbers. There's no secret handshake. There's no clubhouse unless you figure that Channel 11 is our clubhouse, even though this is certainly not a club. Take a transmission on Radio 5. Over.
Hello, Dennis. And by the way, Paul, your Browning Golden Eagle Mark II Series 2 or whatever the heck it is, out of it blows smoke down here. Anyway, and it was Dennis. It was Stephen. I think that was the first MC4 I think I've heard. I don't know. Maybe they're kind of rare. But anyway, I'd like to check in on the General Radio Telephone MC5 from beautiful downtown Burbank, California. And, I'm curious. By the way, just below the tone signal alert, on the bottom, there's a crystal jack. I'm just curious if the MC4 has that, and what the difference is between the MC4 and the MC5, but you don't have to go crazy over that. Anyway, the General Radio Telephone, MC5. Back to you, Dennis.
Sounding good. Here's another picture. It's from Paul's collection, who probably has, I'm going to say, absolutely on the West Coast, the largest collection of General Radio telephones for sure, and we're lucky enough to have him within our earshot so we can hear a lot of those radios. There's the picture of the MC5, and it looks front panel looks just like the MC4, really, to me. It's got the crystal socket on the bottom just under the tone signal, as did the MC4. At the time for 1962, and this was the same price, 1962 and 63, the same price as the MC4. The MC5 was probably the most advanced general radio telephone. It was much like the MC4, but the difference is that it had a stronger transmitter. I don't know what that means. I didn't have a tube complement on the MC4. I do have it on the MC5. It's 7 tubes. 6 BQ5, 6 EA8, 6 EM5. It still runs 6 volt, 12 volt, 115 volt AC. So my guess is that they might have beefed up one of those output tubes. And it did have the bullhorn, or the tones, it did have the tone signal, which was replaced by the bullhorn in the next one. So this was the last radio that the FCC allowed them to put in the Q-Bird. So take a transmission. And the difference that they're saying is they beefed up the output circuit or audio just a little bit.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I'm sure Paul probably has checked in the MC4 before, but for some reason I just don't recall it. It's either the MC12 or the 11A or whatever, or 9. But it was... To my recollection, this is the first time I heard an MC4. So, Stephen, thank you for bringing it by. Anyway, Dennis, the General Radio Telephone MC5, I'm talking on a Turner Plus 3B powered microphone. I know probably don't really need it on this radio, but anyway, that's what I got wired up. And anyway, back to you, Dennis.
Sounds good. The audio is nice. Front panel looks pretty much the same as the MC4. And did you hear when Steve kicked in the tone signal?
He was pretty weak out here, but I could barely hear it.
It was very lively. I'm thinking that's probably when it came from the factory, how they tuned them up. But with that said, and we're on Radio 5, we heard the Q-Bird on the MC4. Let's see how yours is working on the MC5, over.
All right, Dennis. And I'm keying up on the mic, talking through the tone signal, and I'll get off the tone signal. And I'll tell you what, the expert on the generals would be 45, who I believe is right behind me here. So anyway, yeah, he would be the expert to answer that question. Anyway, thanks for checking it in, Dennis, and happy holidays to everyone. And back to you, Dennis.
Thanks, Jerry. And I now that I hear that, I'm torn between which one I like better. The way yours oscillates on the 5 or the way his on the 4. Maybe I misspoke when I said that would be the factory on the 4. I'm not sure. And you mentioned Paul, and for those who are at oldtuberadio.net or watching the video, I switched the picture over, and I hope Paul will humor me on this one. This is the part of the radio room. Now Paul has a very elaborate radio. This is the part of Paul's radio room that houses all the general radio telephones that we hear him check in on. And no, that is not some trickery with Photoshop. That is that is the way it is. And we are lucky enough to hear many of those checking in over the past year in 2019 and over the past 35 years on the Old Tube Radio Network here. But that's sort of the craziness that is part of the Radio Shack on the general radio telephone side. That is quite jaw-dropping and impressive. And we are, like I said, we are lucky to have him within our radio range. Thank you, Jerry, for Radio 5. Speaking of Paul, SWL 45, we'll find out what he's got for Radio 6. Can you copy me, Paul? Over.
Yeah, I hope you can copy me. This is the radio, the Mark II. Yeah, thanks for the picture of it, but that's, it brings back a lot of memory. Half those radios or so are Jim's. SFAR #1, so I'm proud to have them and keeping them going as best as I can. I'm starting down the list of the things, so I don't have it tonight. Tonight, I got to check in my Browning M52 Drake.
Okay, now we're getting to the really rare radios. Okay, the Browning. Give me that number again. I'll see if I can find a shot of it.
M-523.
Okay, look at that. It came right up. The Browning Drake with matching speaker and power supply. Browning Drake with not the Eagle logo, but actually what appears to be a Drake flying by there. In the configuration that you're running on now, do you have the 3 pieces? Is that's what necessary to make the whole thing run over?
Well, it would. I've used it before. That's a DC supplier right there. And the one I'm talking now is 115 volt AC. And I tell you, the great friends of mine, also Bill and Harvey at Red Monkey, they built this one for me. Beautiful power supply, and I hope to get a picture up on the web too. If I can talk to Rob under that one too. Quite easier than to hook him up that other one, as you can see by the picture of the thing. A lot of wires to it, a lot of weird voltages. They had an idea there, but glad they improved the thing. Anyway, this thing is made in 1963. The radio was, and I'll go into a little bit more. But why don't you go ahead and take that?
All right, I'm looking at the shots. So that's if you weren't running it mobile, you would need the power supply. And I'm seeing that there are 6-volt tubes and there are 12-volt tubes, so maybe they had to figure out different voltages coming out to run the filament voltages. And then the item off to on the picture on the left side with the dial in the front, that's the speaker, over?
Yeah, I'll just start with the radio a little bit here. To the left is the speaker. That's an adjustable speaker, and it works well. It's got the bass and treble on the thing. And right across from the radio from there, the radio is on the dials as you're looking at the top of the thing. Let's see, I've got it right here. Okay. It swells just up on the top of that. And you drop right down, the volume off and on. Go over some more up, fine tuning in the middle. Drop over and go to the channel selection, which is the big black knob there. And out above that, it gives you the channel readout. And then below on the right-hand side is on the air big red light. Real flashy. Real good. Of course, below that when you look at the mic. And the Mac's got quite an interesting thing to do. They got a place you can put a speaker, antenna, of course that's normal. TV trap, but it had some instruments kind of interesting. I forgot what it was now. Anyway, I'll get back to it when I find out some more. Back to you.
All right, that is interesting. Let me go. I should have done the close-up there. So am I understanding correctly? If you don't have the speaker, that's not an external speaker. That is the speaker. Or maybe I'm wrong. I'm just looking at the radio. I don't see a speaker grill in the front. And what I see on the top looks like, convection cooling hole. So am I to assume that is a part? You have to have that speaker to hear something out of the radio. That is part of it, right?
That is correct. That's part of it. I pull the plug on the other speaker in the thing. I guess the guy can mount one in there, but it's so tight anyway. The radio's real small. It's not like the last one at all. That's Zero Mobile. But it's small and it's got a whole bunch. You got 10 tubes of that little thing. So there's no room for a speaker back to you.
Yeah, well, I guess mobile radios. And it's 10 tubes. There are 10 tubes in that. So I'm going to say that's why you've got the big holes in there, putting out some heat in that little box. And as Paul mentioned, there were different power supplies depending on, or different versions. The MS6 was the 6-volt power supply, the MS12 with 12-volt power supply, and the AC115, which I think you said that you had, but you're using a modified version or a homebrew version, was the 115-volt AC power supply. 6-volt 12AX7, 12AX7, 12AT7, 6BQ5. So audio is good, crystal controlled, of course, squelch, and then some fine tuning. Boy, this is I don't think I've seen. It's a Browning Drake M523. I'll have to look at some of the Facebook sites. It's very iffy if I think I've seen anybody touting that they have one of these on their bench. Have to see, who is it? Ronald Barton. Have to see if he's got one of these around. It's sounding good. It is our radio number 6. And I'll go back to you for a transmission. Thanks for picking a rare one for us tonight.
Thank you. Dennis, guarantee you, I got to tell Jerry his radio sounds good. That 5 is fixed. It's done. You can't do anything better to it, I don't think. I think you agree with me on that. All right, thanks a lot for checking this thing in. It doesn't have the power. It's probably got about half the power of the last one, about 2 watts or something. So it's not very strong. I tried to boost it, but I haven't been able to get lucky so far. But I think it's making down the hill, so you're answering my question. Thanks, Dennis.
All right, thanks for bringing it by. I always like the rare radios. And back in 62, 63, 64, before the big jump, I mean, the really craze phase, but CB was definitely catching the eye and ear of the public. And all of these companies kind of scrambling to come out with something different and something new and a way of tweaking the product that they already had. It's amazing. And if you go back at the time and look at the automobile manufacturers and you look at how many different models that Ford had and that Chevy had and that Chrysler had, sort of the same thing. You could get to, this model with this trim and just on and on. And just lots of selections, and the CB radios were like that too. Certainly not today. It's like, well, what flavor do you want? As long as it's back in the day, a Uniden chassis. Before we pick up Mr. Ed, who has been patiently waiting to be Radio 7, which is coming up next, I want to say hello to the Triple Play, the trio up there in Squamish, BC, signing in from the balcony. From the balcony, yes, indeed. Way up there. what they do is they have those LED flashlights, and they shine them down into the control room here, and they get my attention, saying, "Hey, we're here." Thanks the gang up in BC. We're waiting for some conditions. It looks like it was just on the Midwest and East Coast during the day. And then Robert saying that the entire week was DX rich, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. That's why I hear you guys had the hot spot out there. New York, New Jersey, solid signals Thursday through Friday. West Texas, mobile communications very solid, using a 899 plus. A Starduster as the ground. That's what I got here is an old Starduster. No, actually, this is one of the new M400s. I have an old one, but I want to get something up a little bit higher, and I'm not sure the Starduster is sort of falling apart. So I'm afraid to put it up too high in the wind. But they're good little quarter wave antennas. You can do all sorts of that, and using a Citizen SSB M6. Not sure what that is. Do we have that somewhere? I don't know. All right, Robert. Well, we're good to know that you have conditions going on, and maybe they will head over this way. Like I said, and coming up, we're going to be in cycle 25. We'll have all sorts of conditions. It'll be, if you go back to some of the earlier archives, we have them like 2012 or 2011, where you hear the skip coming in all night here on the net. That should be interesting. See where it's coming in from, and again, looking forward to for some 10-meter AM. 7, SWL7 on Radio 7. Hello, Radio.
And hello, OTR. Number 7, here on a Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB, which used to be used on that very net you were speaking about on the sideband night. So yeah, I participated in that, and it was a bit of a chore going back and forth between all the different people on sideband, because there's some of them are a little kind of hard to tune in, but it was fun. I had a lot of enjoyment doing that. Anyway, and also using the D104 limited edition gold-plated microphone, also made in '76, about the time this radio was.
Sounding mighty nice. And you reminded me by saying that we did the net like they do the AM nets on 75 meters. We did it as a round table. So everyone had an assigned order. And the reason for that is exactly what Ed was talking about, because now he's got a radio that actually allows you to shift your transmit. But most of the radios are crystal controlled fixed. So depending on what frequency you might be on, that's the frequency that you're on sideband. So using a round table format, a specific station would have the radio floor, if you will, and that would give all the listening stations a chance to adjust, if they could, their receivers to that frequency that they might be on. And then when that station was done transmitting, the next station in order would transmit, and then we would all grab our respective VFOs or whatever tuning knobs and adjust the frequency for that station. Now, somebody like Ed, who had, the Browning that allows you to run, 700 plus or minus, could zero beat to net control, assuming net control was within that range, and get on frequency that way. So that's a nice thing about Browning. That's a good part about the sideband for the Browning, I think, is that they allowed you to move. It was very smart of them, and a way to get around the FCC's little, I don't know how they did it. It's still crystal controlled, but they bend it the amount of tolerance plus or minus that the FCC allowed. Pretty smart. And but the other part of that is you have the receiver. So the ping that sounds so nice on AM was a little bit rough on sideband, if I remember. Over.
Yeah, but on the other hand, you can learn how to kind of run it without the ping. Yep, and just like the picture you have there, that's pretty much the same radio I'm operating on, just a couple of slight differences.
But you do have the Golden Eagle D104, or I guess is that what they call it?
Yeah, I had to look at the base on it. Yeah, Golden Eagle. So it's the Golden Eagle on a Golden Eagle. A double Golden Eagle. There you go. Not too bad. Oh, and you were mentioning call signs on a keyboard. Echo Delta Charlie's pretty simple on the keyboard.
Let's see. Oh, yeah, you're going down, sort of like bingo. See, I'm going across and backwards. I've never typed yours out that way. And then you're going down and across. Okay, I like that too. That's an easy one. Okay, I am looking to see where I'm at here. I've got you in as 7. We've got it marked down. The picture is there. Let's go back over here. The Jingle Singers are ready to go with an item of interest. Looking to see if we've got anybody new over at oldtuberadio.net. And I want to say hello to those on the video page. So we're working good. Take another transmission, and then we're going to have the Jingle Singers jump in.
Oh, copy that. And this radio also, thanks to Harvey, and Red Monkey is back on the air. It was back in the 80s. It went down for a little while, and they brought it back to life. So with that, I'll let you get on, and I'll get another radio warmed up.
Warming up is good at 9:49 Pacific Standard Time. Where did they go? I think I see them, and then I don't. There they are, the Jingle Singers and your Old Tube Radio Network.
What are the magic numbers?
27.085 megahertz, channel 11.
Are the magic letters?
OTR.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Radio Magic.
Old Tube Radio.
For you.
And looking for radio number 8.
OTR.
The break OTR, go ahead, over.
I think there's another one in there. I'll stand by.
All right, you'll be number 8, so don't leave the air chair. Who is the next station?
25.
And 25. All right, you'll be, that's good, because Jerry likes to hang out with our Jingle Singers in the green room, so he's heading over there. And he will be Radio 9. Thanks, Jerry. But right now, from beautiful Chinatown, where I don't think it's snowing yet.
You are correct. It's not snowing yet, but who knows? The year's not over yet, or the season isn't over yet either. Well, this is SWL40 checking in on my Gemtronics model GTX 5000 40-channel CB transceiver.
Checking to see you. 40's on 40, SWL 40 on the 40-channel radio, our first 40-channel radio of the evening. The updated, I think that's the updated Panasonic chassis from 1976 or so, where they, not sure what they had to do to get the 40 channels in there, probably not too much trickery, since they were probably not crystal controlled. Similar to the Robin T240D, the T-Berry T, the Shakespeare, the Colt, all those items of interest. It sounds pretty good on the Old Tube Radio Network. Go ahead.
Oh, very good, very good. Yeah, I'm running the Turner Plus 3 microphone, and that's about it. Let's see, feeling the top of the case, not too bad until you get to the lower right corner of the case on top, and that's the hot spot. And oh yeah, I can probably keep my pot of tea warm on that corner there.
Yeah, convection cooling is always nice. Brown Dog Audio, SWL, what is he, 57? What are you there, Beat? Yeah, he's 57. I think you have his radio of choice, he said, was the Colt Midnight Special, and I think this radio shares the chassis for that. I don't know if they had a 23-channel Colt or not, but if you've got, Brown Dog, if you've got the 40-channel version, this should be very similar on the Gemtronics GTX 5000. It says, remove the limiter by clipping, I think I said this before, by clipping D601. This is not a recommendation. Taking the limiter out really gives mic audio more highs and lows. Or you can do what Larry did and put in the Turner Plus 3, over.
Yes. Of course, I used to have the Turner Expander 500 microphone on this, and it didn't sound too shabby with that mic either.
You know, I'm looking, this does not have, out of all the selections, some of them have the range boost. This doesn't have the range boost in. So you do, if you want a little bit more beefier audio, you have to do it at the microphonium.
Yes, that's right. And, but it does have a PA, and the meter, you get a choice of whether you want to see the receive signals or the transmit signals. So you have to flip the switch like that to get it to see the receive. Right now, oh boy, the meter was jumping up and down furiously, but it seems to have stabilized. I think I need to clean the switch.
Okay, it was jumping when it shouldn't be jumping. I always thought it was kind of a cop-up because a lot of radios have the switching. The meter will switch over between transmit and receive. Now, in theory, if you have it on the transmitter side when you're receiving, the meter would just be doing nothing, right? I mean, that would, you look over and say, what's wrong with the radio, and vice versa. So I'm not sure what the benefit of that was, but I think it was just whoever they were selling, the Panasonic selling the chassis to, I think whoever paid the most money got the most. Say, okay, you can have the range boost, and you can have this, and you can have this, and you can put it on the front panel, and you can put it on the front panel, and if you don't pay us enough, we will just give you that little SRF switching meter. Radio number 8, is that right? Yes, radio number 8. Was there a number 9 out there? Oh, yeah, that's right. Jerry he's having too much fun. Okay, we'll get his attention. He'll jump out here. So the Gemtronics GTX 5000. So go with another transmission, sir. Thank you for, it's been a while since we heard the Gemtronics. I was beginning to be afraid that perhaps it had gone away from your Radio Shack, but I'm glad to hear that it's still there. Back to you.
Yes, it's still here. And the mice have not chewed through the microphone cord yet.
All right. We used to have, what was it, Jim used to have dog chew coax. And we don't want you to have mice chew microphonium. Thank you, Larry, for radio number 8. And with goodies in hand, on the holiday, they still have the holiday plates over in the green room. Jerry is stepping up into the air chair. Hello, 25, over.
Yeah, hello, Dennis, and the Jingle Singers. The champagne is flowing, and the persimmon cookies are sticking on the wall, and we're having a great time. You know, in fact, can I go back there?
Well, no, wait a minute. You just got here. Hold on, oops.
Well, anyway, real quickly, let me check in the radio real fast so I can go back into the party room. But anyway, 25 checking in on the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB 2-piece radio on talking on a non-powered banana mic with the bass. I believe the mic was made by Electrovox, if I'm not mistaken, but it actually was made for Browning. And anyway, fun radio, a spot button on there so you can get right on frequency, to calibrate the transmitter to the receiver. And anyway, fun radio. And I know you know this radio, so I don't need to really explain it to you. Anyway, back to you, Dennis.
No, I know it well. Well, not that. I do know that radio well. I've been sitting over in that particular radio area in front of that radio long ago when we did one or two net controls out there. So I'm actually familiar with that radio. And I want to say that was one of the first times that I operated a Mark III. Kevin, SWL2 had the, I think he had a Mark II, and they had the 23S9. And we operated that many times on OTR, but I think yours was probably the first Mark III that I actually got the pleasure to sit in and operate. And hopefully the Jingle Singers, where's the close-up cam here? Hopefully the Jingle Singers are a lot more proud of net control, because I now have the official. Thanks to everybody who's fixed up, Bob and Steve has fixed up the I don't know what I would call it, Studio B over there, and got the Jingle Singers in order and Mr. Announcer, and I guess they decided that they needed to come over on this side and make sure that I was dressed correctly. So I've got the official OTR SWL 33 shirt. So hopefully they are saying nice things about me now.
Oh, Dennis, they told me the stories about you. I don't think I could repeat on the air. But anyway, thanks for checking in the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. And Bozo Control Bozo was in there throwing around peanut butter sandwiches. But anyway, I'll let you deal with that. Anyway, thanks, Dennis, for checking it in, and back to you.
All right, back to me in the studio. Radio number 9 and 57 asking if I've ever given a station tour of OTR. We did long ago, back when I had a really nice, ergonomically set up radio table. And I kid you not, what we did, because Rob was net controlling and Jim was net controlling, and I would bring microphones from a radio station, and we would wire some wireless microphones and actually go around and do little interviews and things back a long time ago. So maybe that's a goal for 2020, is like getting some antennas in the air and maybe doing a station tour. But there's not a lot here. What I should do is go out and do station tours of what we saw with Paul. We got a ton and a half of general radio telephones, and that's just a corner. That's just part of. We're not seeing the whole thing, because he checks in more than general radio telephones. That would probably be a bit more interesting. Radio 10 coming up, maybe. It's the top of the hour. So what do they want to what do they want to do over there? Okay, they want to do the big fanfare, because it's the end of the year, blah blah blah. Okay, let's do that. I think I've got everything set up, so here we go.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
And more importantly, brought to you by our Old Tube radio operators and collectors, that without all the radios coming in, we wouldn't be able to do this. It just wouldn't be as much fun. And then, of course, our shortwave listeners. We like to acknowledge our listeners. I've been a shortwave listener forever with my, Helicrafters CB11A walkie-talkies, listening in on 11 meters, on CB, before I got my big transmitter and my SX25 Helicrafters receiver and the FM 1000, listening to the AM broadcast station. So SWLing is a good way to get started and have fun in whatever radio it is. So is there a Radio 10 out there? Counting and mounting soon. It is 10 o'clock here on the West Coast. Those of you who are listening in on early Sunday morning or late Sunday morning, like the Sheriff of Nottingham, thanks for staying up late with us tonight, and we're listening for Radio 10.
Number 7.
Fight it out 145.
All right, 7. You'll be Radio 10. I think I heard a 47.
Yes, sir. 5.
You will be Radio 11, and then 45. Paul, you will be Radio 12. Over.
Sounds good.
And we'll just keep going. I mean, if it takes us into next year before we get everybody that wants to checked in, so be it. I think my station will hold up. So just to reiterate, we will go to Ed and to Michael and to Paul. And we're in double digits, so good deal. So Harvey, if you're listening, we got into double digits, and we didn't even need the Browning Golden Beagle tonight, although it would have been nice to have it. Radio 10, hello, Ed.
Well, this one is not a Browning. This is the Tram TR27E with the Electro Voice 638 microphone.
Another, 1963, I think. Good year if you were making CB radios, the TR27E. Let me get it up on that's the wrong one. How about that one right there? There it is. And that is your TR27E. Still firing up and still sounding good, over.
Yeah, actually, this is an eBay acquisition, so I was really surprised it came out that well. But yeah, big green, actually teal, but kind of greenish looking thing. 5x7 speaker, a nice S meter there that's 3.5 inches tall, about 3 inches tall, 3.5 inches wide. So it's kind of large.
The large economy side. I think what they did is they built, somebody told me on my Buick Riviera one time, the speedometer was out. And I took it to a speedometer shop. Back when they had speedometer shops. I don't think you can find one now. And I innocently went to the guy and I said, could you fix the thing? And he looked at it. I guess it was that year of GM. And he said, you know what? Let me tell you something. He said, first GM came out with the speedometer, and then they built this car around it. And then he kind of looked at me and said, do you understand what I'm telling you? And I was like, I don't know. It's like he was telling me that he didn't want to fix it. But I think what Tram did was a similar thing. They got this giant S meter, and then they figured out, we're going to build the radio around this, and then they just had to make the radio big. What do you think?
Well, that could be, man. But it is a really nice radio, very nice receive, pretty close to the Brownings as far as receive quality. So, I'd put it right there with any of them. And like you say, 1963, can't really go wrong. Got it from a guy that was an old ham. In fact, he was 92 years old when I emailed him, and he told me that the radio was in good operating condition. I figured with a guy of that age, he was honest and would give you a deal. And sure enough, man, it's been a great deal. Never had to replace any tubes or anything in it. Just been running like a champ.
Yeah, that's why you got a good deal on eBay, because you got somebody honest. There's a Tram. That's actually not the TR20. It looks like a 27. No, I guess it is. Which I'm trying to see which one that was on the advertisement. No, it's okay. It says right there, Dennis. It's a TR27E advertisement from 1963. The Tram. Sounding good. All right, we'll keep it moving here, because we've got stations in line. I don't want to be like the Grapevine, where you're going to have an escort to get yourself on the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. Radio 10, TR27E. We will go back to you for another transmission. I will say thanks for bringing it by over.
Oh, and thank you for letting me get out there and yak. And I'll go ahead and take a listen. Take care. 73s, everyone.
All right, very good. And who is that? Yeah, Brown Dog, I agree. It puts it in the mind of a Heath kid. Maybe it's the green color, but that was the thing with when you're going to build something, you don't want to have this tiny little cabinet. You have to try and fit all those parts in. That was the nice thing about Heath kit. They gave you room to work and figure everything out and put stuff in. You know what? Speaking of that, we haven't, thanks 57, but we haven't had a Heath kit check in a long time, and there are some out there. The GW12 and all those, but we used to get a lot of Heathkits checking in. Not sure what happened to our Heathkit radios, but we do know what happened to 47, because he is going to be Radio 11 next. Hello, Mike, over.
Well, one more time, greetings from the Radio Lounge. I'd like to check in with your permission. Of course, a Robin T123, which is reminding me, I've practically got to swallow the mic in order to make this modulation lamp work. So hopefully you can hear me.
It's working. That's the B model, is that correct?
Yep, it's the B model, no magic eye tube, just a modulation lamp. We've talked about this. Perhaps it's a neon lamp. I'm not sure, but it's small and it's active. Although I wouldn't describe it as enthusiastic.
Well, at least you know it's working, and there's some audio going through, and you do have the range expand that you can use. The 120. I thought maybe you were going to try it the 123 tonight just to make sure that it survived. It survived all the elfin magic on Christmas Tree Lane last week, but the 123, and I need to add the Bravo on my list here, is working good. I do not have any problem with your audio mode of operation.
Wait a minute, did you say use the other one? The other Robin?
All right, he's performing magic. Well, good. It sounds like it survived the trip too.
Yeah, it did, thank goodness. I was kind of worried about that. There were a lot of variables in last week's broadcast, or transmission at least, from this one. But I have, as you've probably figured out, I've transitioned from the 123 Bravo to just the plain 123 in the series, the one with the Magic Eye tube, which works great as it does here in the lounge and on the road as well.
Yes, it does. Sounds good. I can hear the difference between the two. They are not. No, they're not the same chassis at all. Definitely different because of which we can see in the video, the Magic Eye tube. And I'll make that Radio 12. So, Paul, don't go away. You'll be lucky number 13. The one you're on now, the T123. I'm not sure. It made it until 1972, I believe, and then they took over with the 123B on the Panasonic chassis, and that lasted until 1976 when they had to go 40 channels. That one is, with the way you've got it set up, that is your radio for your voice.
Yeah, you know, like I'm one to speak. Looking at the other radio, the 123B, the modulation lamp, it just doesn't do a whole lot, and that's pretty much the only indication you've got as far as what quality of audio you're putting out. This one, however, you got the Magic Eye tube, which really does a lot. I think. I wonder if Harvey did not fiddle with this radio to make the Magic Eye tube. No, I remember that. No, he didn't. We didn't mess around with the radio to make it any different than stock. It was just the microphone that we changed on this that definitely made the Magic Eye tube quite a bit more active. But you know, when it's this late, I really don't care too much for screaming into radios, which of course I'm not doing right now.
No, you sound very relaxed, and as the advertisements would say, probably about the time that this radio was being sold, you sound cool, calm, and collected on radio number 12 of the Robin T123. Thanks for a double play there. I want to get to Paul, who is standing by, but we'll go back to you for another transmission. And again, thank you last week for the extra effort on getting us our Christmas Tree Lane live report in great style and risking life and limb, literally limb, out there with a 102-inch whip. But back to you.
It wasn't good. Please do not go try and go down Christmas Tree Lane with a really long antenna. It does not work. Please take it from me. Before I get out of here, I have to ask you, have you, this, I think this is the last check-in of 2019. Have you done a grand total of all the different manufacturers for the year that have been checked in?
Oh, I was supposed to do that. I really was. Who was it last year that pinned me down? I think it was Phil. And I've got information, so that will be my homework assignment for the next week. So on our first 2020, then we'll do, I guess, a year-end review of this year. And I don't remember what I did last year. I remember it took forever to go through everything and figure out the radios and everything. But I think it was like a top 5 or top 3 list of the radios what was the most checked in radio, and highlights of what was the most SWOs checked in, the least SWOs checked in, the most radios checked in, the least radios checked in, et cetera. So I will make myself a note to self. My homework assignment for next week is to give some stats for 2019 in my hopefully generated sheets here that are in somewhat order. So I've got a lot of work coming up. So I'll do that though.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is not the time of the year for me to be assigning homework. I feel really bad for doing that, but at least it's fun homework and relevant, to say the least. Anyways, thanks for letting me check both my Robins in. Everyone sounds great, and I guess I need to wish you and all a happy new year from the Radio Lounge 73.
Okay, what I don't have are the little Wisley noisemakers and Tweety horns, and I'm not even sure if I have that kind of stuff. I used to have a lot of those things. I'm not sure if I have any of that stuff anymore, but I should have had something. I know that's happening over in the green room, but of course I'm over here. So those of you who have been in the green room tonight are probably celebrating more appropriately for the end of the year. Thanks, Mike. Radio 13, Lucky Radio 13. Paul, thanks for being patient, standing by at 10:15 on the old Tube Radio Network. Wheel Radio's glowing in the dark. I want to say hello to our station listening in is it Anoka, Minnesota, where it is currently 34 degrees and perhaps a little bit of rain. At 34 degrees, that is the fine line, I would think, between rain and not rain, right? At least here. If it was 34 degrees here and raining, I think it would be kind of sleety snowing or something, but all of that. And then Riverside. It's been a while since I've been in Riverside. Out there on, off the 10, the 60, the 15. Riverside is a big place. Riverside is like Fresno. It is a big, stretched out city that goes on and on and on. I mean, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. It's a nice place. It's got a lot of hills you can look down on. I had a friend that lived there in one of the newer tracks where you could look down on the old, I think it was March Air Force Base or whatever, that was not the Air Force Base anymore. And he lived by a giant water tower. I always just say, oh man, if you could have an antenna, you could point it at that water tower and let it beam off everywhere. Anyway, so much for Riverside reminiscing. Hello, Paul, over.
Yeah, I want to check in my radio. General Radio Telephone, Super MC11A.
Cool, all right. I know that Chris is away from the radio, and we have a lot of General Radio Telephone fans that like to hear the Super MC11A, so you are helping us do that tonight. And I will grab our infamous General Radio Telephone, one of the greatest pictures ever done. If we ever make a calendar, if we ever make an old Tube Radio calendar, this radio that Cliff did the picture on Channel 11 is definitely going to make that calendar. Back to you for a transmission.
I think it's one of their finest for sure. They had everything working well on the thing, and there were a few things on the 12 that was great. They could have gone to that, but all in all, it's a great radio. They had ECL 800 tube in the thing. That would have been 3 or 4 different, from the 10, 11, not no 10, 11, 12, on up down below that too. The ECL 800 tube was in. So that's the one they kept until the 12th. It works out real well.
And it figures it's like a lot of things. You do your best thing, or you keep building up until you've built that best thing, and then you stop doing it, which is what they did after the 12, I guess, or maybe after 11A. I think Skyhawk Communications took over for that. But maybe that's a way to do it sometimes. Some TV shows do that too. They do so many episodes and they think, we've peaked. We can't do any better than this. If we do any more, it just won't be good. And so they sign out and say it's been fun and enjoy what we did. So I think General Radio Telephone was similar to that. The Super MC11A, all that with 9 tubes and a couple of transistors, I think, that were in the power supply. So it's a good deal. Go back to you with the transmission, and if you told me I wasn't paying attention on what microphone you're using with that, over.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's a General Radio Telephone microphone, and the number is, let me see here what I got on thing. All right. It's a CM-3, made by Turner Microphone.
All right, I'll do the close-up of that. I went back to the picture that shows the radio and the S meter. I wanted people to see that you are about an S8 unmodulated. I've got my RF gain and the noise level set at S7. So you're 1 S unit above the noise, but the audio is really good, and it looks like a lot of forward movement, which is really nice. So take another transmission, and I think I'll try and get a close-up of that stock. That really, I think, is the best microphone for that. I don't know if you've ever played around with maybe trying putting a D104, an unamplified D104 on that, but from what I hear, that microphone really is the one that needs to go with it.
Well, I was lucky enough to get this one with the radio. It was really a plus. You very seldom get the things, the microphones. You have to go to different ways. But anyway, real proud of it. Interested to see or hear the sounds difference in the 11s between Chris's, mine, and a lot of other ones out there. Be interested to hear the difference on. I don't know. This is almost getting ready to flat top on this stock mic, I think. Maybe it sounds good out there. I don't know. Anyway, enough. Thanks for checking in, Dennis.
No, I agree. You wouldn't want to add any more. You would lose the clarity, and that's with the flat top, it starts losing the clarity. Although the tubes, are a little bit more forgiving, and I think does it have a tube complement that has a 12AX7, which is one of the premier audio tubes in the audio circuit there. So it's doing a good job. And it looks good on the meter. Like I said, even at S8 unmodulated, it has really good forward movement. So I think it's tuned up right. It could be just sitting there at S9, and the audio wouldn't be, even though the signal would be another 60 dB more, but I don't think your audio would be as good. Radio 13, the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. If you've got a Sam's PhotoFax 22, they're on page 45. Or if you have the Old Tube Radio Network, you can hear at least one almost every week, sometimes 3. I know Cliff has one, you have one. There are some others out there, but it always seems like we get one of those checking in on the net. So thanks for bringing it by. Over.
Thank you, Dennis. Contact.
And the contact, go ahead. This is the Old Tube Radio Network.
Is this the Hey Dennis frequency?
This is the Hey Dennis, or the, let's see, we actually had multiple Dennis the Menaces earlier on.
How about a late check-in 70, please?
I can do that if I go to my SWL check-in list and hit the right button, and then the entire world, the Universal Media Netweb, will have SWL 70. Oh, it even shows up on the screen. I forgot about that. Beaconing in on the item of interest. How did the weather treat you guys? Did you get any snow? I don't think you're high enough to get snow up there, are you?
Yeah, no, we didn't get snow here. We're about 1,200 feet elevation here. We went and played in the snow, though. That was nice. We had to pick a day where everybody goes to the snow now. So you got to pick a day and time that get in up there. But yeah, I had some fun and did some cross-country skiing, backcountry skiing and stuff. And, good times, but none here local at the downtown Fraser area.
Okay, lots of good stuff happening. Not like Charlie, who's listening in near Chicago, talking about the roads are ice covered, or he just got back from Chicago and said the drive wasn't too bad up there in Zero Land. Our station we're talking to, Mark, is also a ham radio operator, so he may have worked a couple of zeros on the portable radio.
Yeah. Conditions aren't the greatest lately, but yeah, I'm still itching to get a bunch of my stuff up. We talked about the other night about I got a lot of antennas to get back up in the air, but we do a little bit, but it seems like the last, since this spring when everything blew down, haven't been making as many contacts as I used to.
Yeah, that's when you appreciate being able to go portable, I guess. Well, so you've got an excuse. My excuse is I haven't put stuff up that I have. Yours, it was up, but now it's got to be re-put back up. So maybe wait a month or two. Weather will get better, and all of us will be working on our antennas for cycle 25. Thanks for checking in, Mark. We've got you on the item.
Thanks, man. Happy New Year.
All right, and I'm counting and amounting, but that doesn't mean that I won't be able to take a check-in or two while we're doing that. The Old Tube Radio Network, the Jingle Singers having a great time, and so am I here on the last net of 2019. OTR is listening.
You're tuned to
OTR, Channel 11,
right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us.
Old Tube Radio.
And be modern.
And if we've got it, we'll take Radio 14.
Brown Dog Audio has a question for you on the net. Can you explain the magic eye tube?
Well, that would be good. I don't know if I can explain. Let me see. If I can get something better. This is where we need Mitch and Dave and Harvey. But the magic eye tube, with its, I guess using a different voltage thing, is used for a lot of stuff. It's used for audio. It's also used, it was used in the early radios for tuning. As you got closer and more on frequency to the station, the two little lights would come together. All right, I will defer to Wikipedia, but that's not the best way to do it. A magic eye tube or tuning indicator, in technical literature called an electron ray indicator tube, is a vacuum tube which gives a visual indication of the amplitude of an electronic signal, such as an audio output, which is what the ones we talk about here is it monitors your audio output, into your transmitter. Radio frequency signal strength. That's the one, if you've got an old RCA radio or an old Zenith radio with the tube up in the dial, that's what they're using that for, the signal strength of the incoming radio signals. You can tune that in and look for those two lights to come together, or other functions. The magic eye, also called cat's eye or tuning eye in North America, is a specific type of such tube with a circular display similar to the EM34 Illustrated. Now, the EM34... if you go to the oldtuberadio.net page, where is it? It says audio controls. That's an EM34. If you go to the top of the page, that style, although there's many, many styles. I think it's a 6RE13, the one that's on the radio, the Robin radio that's got the vertical lighting. That's a different tube, but I think that's an RE13. But it's the same principle. Its first broad application was as a tuning indicator in radio receivers to give an indication of the relative signal strength. The magic eye tube was the first in a line of development of cathode ray type tuning indicators developed as a cheaper alternative to the needle movement meters. True. That's why a lot of the earlier radios that didn't have S meters and them had the magic eye tubes for audio, and of course the early 1930s and 40s, 50s Zenith and RCA radios didn't have tuning meters, but they have the tube, which is cooler, pretty cool. You didn't have to be right up on the meter to see what was happening. You could be across the room, see if your signal was fading. Tuning indicator tubes were used in vacuum tube receivers from around 1936 to 1980 before vacuum tubes were replaced. What? Vacuum tubes were replaced by transistors and radios. An earlier tuning aid, which the Magic Eye replaced, was the Tuenon. The Tuneon. Okay, the Tuneon neon lamp. Who has a neon lamp? There's a neon lamp in the Browning somewhere. And does the Pearson have a neon? But it's a different. It's a different thing. Let's see. Okay, let me try this. Let me see if this is going to work. This is an automated thing. It may not work. I'm going to go to see if I can put up submit. Oh, it is. Okay, here we go. Look over my shoulder. And there it is. There is the moving. It's amazing how that works. That's an EM34 tuning eye. That's sort of the classic one that's in all the receivers and for the indicators. Now let me see if I can do this. An EM84, which is the one that you see in the radio that Mike checked in. And there it is. That's in its state of fullness and semi, indicating, and that could be used for the same thing, audio or tuning indicator, but that's the audio indicator that's sitting in the front of the Robin. So that's the cop-out definition, thanks to Wikipedia, but that sort of gives you an idea, and it's a cool thing. I mean, you would think that if some manufacturer wanted to do sort of a steampunk Back to the Future, that they would include one of those in a radio. And it's a kind of a sad day when S-meters came in. It's like, you don't need these tubes in there. There's a little less heat. But they could have had both, I guess. Use one for the audio and one for the signal strength. All right, Brown Dog, thanks for the question. And maybe we'll go into it more. We have done that. We've talked about these tubes in prior episodes of the Old Tube Radio Network, but they're pretty neat. And there are some people that collect the radios that have the Magic Eye tubes. Mike is one of them. Cliff has a lot of Magic Eye Magic Eye tube radios, just sort of like, there's another one. And there are a lot. I think the Hallicrafter CB one uses one. There's a lot of the earlier ones, probably 65, 60 and before, and even earlier. Some of the first radios in 58, 59 did that because that was a classic thing to do in a broadcast radio. Let me stop talking. It is 10:30, doggone it. Who else would like to check in as we're counting and amounting? Everybody should have a Magic Eye tube. I'm thinking if I have one. I have an audio tape deck, an audio tape recorder that uses it for the audio. But you know what I have? I have a Gonset Communicator 2, which is a 2-meter AM lunchbox radio, and I believe it has a Magic Eye in it. But I don't have, as far as I know, I don't have any CB radios that have the Magic Eye.
I have one, the Robin 123, no B, like the one you have pictured in there right on the net right now. And you'll find yourself babbling like an idiot, making the thing come together and light up after a while, just to play with it.
Yeah, it's a good indication. You put in the amplified microphone and you have a race to see if you can get those little things. I'm gonna leave that one up. It's animated somehow. That I have a feeling that might be the one that's on our audio controls in the OTR magnetophone. But they're fun. So yeah, if you're looking for your first tube radio, you might look for one of the earlier ones that have the Magic Eye tube. And without Harvey here, I'm not sure how hard they are to find spares, and if you do, how much, or if you needed one, how much they would cost. But like all tubes, back in the day, they were probably a dime a dozen. Counting and amounting, we will be right back. hear me thumping around here. And the Gonset, you know the rare one, I think? There was a 6-meter version. We're talking about the Gonset communicators. 2-meter, 6-meter. I think there was a 10-meter. That's the one I'd like to get. Where is it? Is it up there? And I've got a cabinet up there. I don't know where the heck it is. I got it for $2. This is back when I just became a new ham. Ever so long ago. And they had the Fresno Amateur Radio Club swap meet. And you know how it is when you're new ham. You've got to buy something. You've only got $10 in your pocket, even if you can't use it. And there was the Gonset Communicator. Somebody had it for $2. Maybe it was the auction. I got it for $2. I didn't care. I'm walking home with this big yellow radio with a magic eye tube, and then you find out it's AM, and nobody runs AM on 2 meters. And but it sure looks good sitting in the shack when you have no radios, right? You're just starting out, so you buy that kind of stuff. And it's around here somewhere. Let's see, what else do I need to do? Oh, anything, Captain Keyboard said, tell Bozo Control to get on the microphonium. Honking the proboscis. All right. Bozo Control usually hangs out over in the green room. Bozo Control actually did net control early on, before there was video. Any other comments or questions before we do the counting and amounting here? Okay, the Old Tube Radio Network, we get the frequency back to normal. I will stop talking so much. We had 8... Oh, wait a minute. They're banging on the glass. I said, you can't do that yet. Protocol, doggone it. You're dressed up in the official, where is it? The official OTR shirt. You've got to do it officially correct. So let me go over O2, the jingle singers and Mr. Announcer.
Ladies and gentlemen, time now for the current OTR totals.
Should take a drink of water before this. 8 check-ins on page 1, 12 on page 2, 16 on page 3, and 16 on page 4. In the SWL department, giving us a total of 52. I don't think that's going to be the high total. I bet the high total will be up in the 60s for 2019. And it's usually, when is it? In the summer? In the spring? I can't remember when our big check-in time is. Usually in the winter, too. A lot of people it's cold and they want to be in the radio room. Radios, we had 13 tonight, not bad. The most heard manufacturer, well, it was the Generals for quite a long time. The Robins came in there good, and then the Brownings also came up, but they came up with 4. Started off with neither a General or Browning or Tram, but the Courier 23, Steve, limping in. Actually did okay. Not sure what he was doing, but he was doing it okay with the Courier 23. Sounds good. I hope we hear more of it. Radio number 1. Radio number 2, the Browning Golden Eagle R68 T68, followed by Paul on, that was Mr. Ed. Paul followed that, Radio 3 on the Browning Golden Eagle Mark II, the Series B, with all the trans adapters and items of interest that I guess they figured out how to stuff into the Mark III, and that's probably why the transmitter... If you had the AM transmitter, it was the same size as the Mark II, but you had the sideband transmitter was as big as the receiver. But not as big totally as the Series B was, I don't think. Radio number 4, Steve, on the General Radio Telephone MC4. Nice to hear an MC4. And thank you for the dual range, and thank you for the tone signal. A little bit different. The battle of the tone signals tonight. Did you like the 4 or did you like the 5, which was our Radio 5 from SWL 25? The Browning Drake See if anybody has one. And you guys that are on the Facebook site, say, anybody have the Browning Drake M523? Who was it? I bet Midwest Sound might have one. He's got a lot of Brownings, but it's a Browning Drake from Paul, our rare radio tonight, Radio 6. Radio 7, Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB from Mr. Ed. Radio 8 was the Gemtronics GTX 5000, our one and only 40-channel radio. Yes, they did make tube 40-channel radios, but not many of them. Radio number 9, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB from Jerry. Radio 10 was the Tram TR27E from Ed. Radio 11 and Radio 12. 47 on the Robin T123B and the TR123 with the Magic Eye, but not like the one over here, right? But a Magic Eye. And then Paul on the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A with the original, what does it call it? CM3 Microphonium. Let me see if there's anybody that I need to say hello. There's a lot of people I need to say goodbye to, like everybody. All right. Brown Dog's looking for a constant communicator. Yeah. You know what? Do what I did. See, your next local, whatever it is, the ham radio swap meet, where the the OM is wife, the ex-wife, says, you've got to get rid of some of this stuff, you know. The grandkids are moving in, and so he goes to the old part, and there's the Gunst communicators. Maybe you can get a good deal that way, and you won't have to have it shipped. That's what I would do. That's how I got mine. So check out the ham, local ham clubs or something. And they might have a 10 or a 2 or a 6 meter Gunst communicator. Other than that, 73, everybody. It's been fun, as it always has. 2019 has been good to the old Tube Radio Network. 2020 should be good as well. We're heading off, like it says, 35 years. Let's see, what I didn't get to. I've still got a lot of stuff. I was going to talk about 33. We're not going to talk about that. I'll have to find out what that post was that Mitch had. It was probably some vintage thing. We'll talk about that next time. But in the meantime, go out and do your DX diligence. Grab your local people on the air and maybe get an on-the-air night going on. It doesn't have to be old tubes, but get on the air night. And remember, if you are thinking about getting the ham ticket, Cycle 25 is on its way. Now is the time to do it. Or if you want to do the upgrade from tech to general, so you can get on the AM bands on 75 and 40 and 15 and 10. Think about doing that. It isn't too hard. And there are a lot of us out there that are ham calls, and no doubt me thinks that we'll be setting up schedules probably throughout the week or on the weekends to see if we can chat. So it should be fun. Good night, everybody. The Old Tube Radio Network says 73. Thanks to SearchLawrence.com and the Nixie Tubes for keeping this thing running. Apparently Flash is going away, and a lot of our stuff is on Flash, so I don't know what we're going to do about that. But in the meantime, the magic eyes are still winking and blinking, and that's a good thing. So we'll catch you next time on the Old Tube Radio Network.
Thank you very much, Dennis, and a very happy New Year to everybody.
Good night, good net, and Happy New Year to one and all.
Okay, let me find the proper control for the video. And figure out how to turn off the streaming thing. And I have to find what I did with my Gunst communicator. I suppose if I decorate, that's a bad word. If I reconfigure the Radio Shack, that would be something, putting the Gunst communicator up in a corner somewhere where somebody could say, hey, I know what that is. So I'll think about it, since we're doing video, right? Since we're adding pictures to radio. Good night, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we will catch you next time on the Old Tube Radio Network as we end the final stream for can you believe it, 2019? I just can't believe we have been doing this since the mid-1980s. I'll have to find, I know we've got some old cassette tapes. I'll have to have some nostalgia nights, but it's fun. There it is. End stream. See you later.